Hello everyone, my name is Nael Malab and I'm the CEO of Guard Tower Security. I'm also wearing our new security jacket. Anyways, before we dive into this, let me explain what this is. So, this is a program that I've created for both communities and businesses. It's a space where we can share real conversations about safety, security, and the challenges that come with building a strong and a resilient community. The first episode is going to be open to everyone because I want to set the tone and give as much value as possible right from the start. But going forward, it's going to be an invite only. That way, we can keep the conversations focused, relevant, and personal to the people and groups who will get the most out of it. And just to be clear, this isn't something I'm going to be charging for. It's completely free. It's about education, building trust, and helping people make better decisions when it comes to protecting what matters most. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about practical security insights, prevention, protection, and peace of mind. It's going to be a comprehensive guide to enhancing security measures. Today, I'll be covering the following: how to identify and address common security vulnerabilities, such as poor lighting, unmonitored access points, camera blind spots, and lack of visible deterrence, navigating the complex camera conversation, balancing safety benefits with privacy rights, legal consideration, and resident communications for obviously residential buildings. The role of visible deterrence, including marked patrols, security signage, and optimized camera placement in deterring crime. Strategies to prevent vandalism and loitering by identifying hotspots, improving lighting, landscaping, and scheduling patrols during peak times. Emergency preparedness, measures tailored to condo settings, including fire watch, flood patrols, and clear evacuation plans. So this is obviously not only to condo buildings; it can be for any site or any business, but I just put condo there for some reason. Balancing security needs with budget realities through cost sharing, risk based measures, and resident engagement programs like neighborhood watches, for example. And lastly, but not least, practical next steps boards can take immediately, including conducting security audits and implementing simple improvements. So, what I mean by boards are just like the people who are like the decision makers, the board of business or the site or the building. And yeah, let's talk about security in Canadian condos. Let's take condos for an example. So, there has been a rising concern in vandalism, break ins, and loitering in the last 2 years in Canadian condos. And that obviously has been impacting the residents a lot. There are safety concerns impacting the residents' peace of mind and also the property value of the area in where the vandalism and the loitering have been happening. The perspective has been changing too in the security industry. So, security measures are now seen as a necessity instead of a luxury. So, we're going to talk about common vulnerabilities we see. So, first and foremost is poor lighting and no motion sensor lighting. So, dimly lit parking garages and entrances encourage criminals to take advantage of that because they're going to feel like nobody's watching and they can get away with it. And I'll talk about why motion sensor lighting to be specific. Next is access issues. So unmonitored entrances and exits. Obviously, that's a big vulnerability because that's where the access point is. That's how you get into the building or to the site or to the business, and that's how you get out too. Surveillance gaps. So blind spots in camera coverage. If your cameras are not reaching your whole site or property, that's a big issue because again, criminals can get away with that without identifying themselves and getting in trouble. So they're going to take advantage of that. Also, lack of deterrence. So no visible deterrence like signage or patrols. What I mean by signage, it can be something like a sign on a building that says this building is being surveilled or is being watched 24/7 by cameras. Because stuff like that actually deter crime up to 90%, just visibility, right? Or patrols. If you have a security team, not having them being visible at almost all times, it can be a big issue because if a criminal sees that there's a security guard and he's patrolling, then that's a visible deterrent that can help a lot. So I'm going to talk about why visible deterrents matter. So criminals obviously avoid well-monitored areas. They don't want to get in trouble. They want to get away with it. So they're going to think twice before they do anything if the area is monitored, and it gives a psychological effect that this is seen instead of dark areas nobody can see. Also, marked patrol vehicles increase perceived risk. There's a bigger risk when they see a marked patrolled vehicle around the site. The criminals are going to look at that and be like, okay, The risk is higher. It's a marked patrol car. I'm gonna get caught if I do anything. Security signage, obviously, as I talked about it reinforces awareness, and again, it's all about visibility. Strategic lighting and motion sensor lighting reduces hiding spots and deters crime. So, why motion sensor lighting to be specific? Because let's say a criminal is walking and he's up to no good. If a light suddenly comes on, it's gonna trigger a psychological effect, like somebody's watching, like, oh, this light just came on, right? And that is often more than enough to make him or her go away. These are some access control basics. So entry systems like secure fobs and key entry systems are actually way better than just normal keys. They have a more secure system to them. Visitor management. So you know who's coming in and coming out of your inside your property or business. Like you can have a visitor sign in and also track them, or have any one of your team do that. And also another one is vendor access, just like visitor management. Vendors, like people who are coming to the site to do work, construction, etc. Make sure you pre-approve contractors and vendor access before you let them into the site. One thing you can and cannot do, it's up to you. It's an escort policy. So you escort access for non-residents. So if you have the budget, or if you have the time, or if you have someone that can do that, they can escort the person inside and outside. They don't have to be with them at all times. Just make sure they leave after they are supposed to leave. Talking about access control, these are some mistakes we see. Most common one is unreturned keys. So unreturned keys or fobs. When you give someone a key for access, make sure you're tracking that and make sure you're getting it back, because it's hard to keep track of them, but it's very important because obviously they can get in and out at any time, which is not good. Also, tailgating. I know some people don't like to like refuse entrance to someone else, right? But it's a big issue. Like people are now trying to tailgate behind somebody who has access to a certain building. That way they get in, they act as if they're a resident, and they steal or they vandalize and or stay inside the building, whatever. So make sure you tell everybody who has access to the building to make them aware of the situation and make it okay for them to refuse entrance for other people that are not authorized to enter. Another thing is poor enforcement. So poor enforcement of visitor rules. So you should have a list of visitor rules and make sure you're enforcing it and being very strict with it. Missing records. So lack of logs for contractors. Make sure you're keeping logs of that. You're keeping document files, very organized stuff, because sometimes you don't know, you might need them, you might not, but it's very important to keep track of everything that's going on in your building. So the camera question, I've been asked this question a lot. So like where to place the cameras, what's the most optimal place to place the cameras, and privacy concerns, like is it okay to do that. So I'm gonna go through them one by one. So for optimal placement, so the best placement for the camera is entrances, hallways, elevators, and parking, because entrances you can see who's coming out and who's going outside too. Same with hallways, that's like it has a high foot traffic, so you can see pretty much everyone in the building. Elevators too, that's how they access every floor. And last but not least, parking. Parking is very important. There has been a high percentage of theft and break-ins into cars, so make sure you have cameras that show the whole parking. That way, the residents feel more safe, and you can also know what's happening everywhere. Privacy considerations. So for exterior unit cameras, legal privacy consideration, as long as the camera is not showing inside a residence, like at least where they have leased, the area leased they have, then you're okay. Make sure like when they open the door, like because like it might not show, but then when they open the door, if it's in a hallway, for example, and it shows inside their apartment or place, that's not legal. Policy requirements. So have a clear policy for footage storage and access. So make sure not everybody can access the cameras, and make sure you store them secure. And as I said, like only authorized people should access that. Enhanced monitoring. So you can combine cameras with live monitoring. What I mean by that is you can have people monitor like live, so they know if an event is going on, like a theft, for example, or a break-in, into a car in a parking lot, they can tell right away and notify the authorities and prevent any worse stuff from happening. So cameras, oh sorry, cameras done right. So what I mean by that is how to play it, like how to do them the right way. Coverage. So make sure it's a wide angle coverage. That way it's showing the most it can. Night vision too. If it's in a dark spot, make sure you have night vision installed in the camera, or make sure the camera has it installed before you buy it. That way you can tell even when it's dark. Placement, avoid blind spots. So for example, if you want to place it somewhere, like make sure like below it is a blind spot. So maybe place another camera somewhere else, or make sure it's like placed, it's tilted down. That way it shows as much as it can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to make it the best as you can. Integration also integrated with alarms and access control too. So if there's an alarm going on, like again, live monitor, you can see what's going on. In access control, you can tell who's coming in and coming out using that camera that you have. So lighting as a security tool. How can you use lighting to as a security tool? So first of all, deterrence. As I said before, well-lit areas discourage unwanted activity. I explained why, but yeah, pretty much people don't want to be seen. Sorry, criminals don't want to be seen. If they're up to no good, they don't want to be seen. Efficiency, LED retrofits for efficiency and visibility. So make sure you're replacing it with LED lighting instead, because it's brighter. It's actually also cheaper and on electricity, so you'd be saving money. The brighter the light is, the better the visibility, the less the crime. Smart solutions, motion sensor lighting in low traffic zones. This is again to like also save money, and that way you don't have to keep the light on at all times. And again, it's a deterrence. It's a deterrence for crime. Maintenance, make sure you have consistent maintenance to replace burnt out lights. Make sure you're doing checkups every 6 months or a year, depending on the lifespan of the lights that you have. So, how do you prevent vandalism and loitering? So, first of all, you want to identify the hotspots, and you can do that using residents' input. So, you just ask them, like, what do you, again, because they basically have a set of eyes at all times on the property, and they live there, they go in and out, so they would know more. And again, it's a bigger number of people putting their input in, so you can get more input and you can identify easier. So what I mean by hotspots are like spots where people would, like for example, a homeless individual would like to stay, or you just see people loitering around, you can, or like vandalized if part of the building is that way. You can take the necessary measures to prevent that at that spot, to be specific. Landscaping to eliminate hiding spots. So what I mean by that is landscaping. You can put up, like, let's say you can put a fence if it's like an if you have a building that's facing an alley. You can put a fence around areas with where the, if let's say you have a something above that, a roof above the head, like something above the head, that way people would want to sit there to, like, from the rain or from the snow or whatever. You can put a fence around that, that way they don't sit there. It's unfortunate. Like, I feel sorry for these people, but again, laws are laws and they're affecting the community. So we have to take these necessary measures to do that. Also, increase patrols during peak trouble hours. So you can identify uh, peak trouble hours based on the area you live in, based on the time of the year. Again, like for example, here in Calgary, we have the stampede going on and it gets very busy. So make sure, for example, you have an increased patrol during that time. And also collaborate with local police for data. So some communities and some areas, police have data for the community that you're in. For example, like vandalism rates and what areas get vandalized the most, what times. Again, you can tell the peak hours. That way, you can adjust your patrols and your measures based on the data, because data is very important. Now we're going to talk about emergency preparedness in a case where there's an emergency, how to be prepared and be ready for that. So fire safety, make sure there's like fire watch procedures. If there's a risk of a fire, make sure there's fire watch people like watching to make sure, like, if something happens, they can be ready to call the fire department or put the fire out themselves. Also, water damage. So Make sure there's flood and leak patrols after storms. So obviously, after a storm, there's a risk in floods and leaks. So make sure again somebody's watching and making sure they take the necessary measures if anything happens. Evacuation. Make sure you're updating your evacuation maps and drills every 6 months or to a year, 2 years, depending on your site and what you think is best. Communication too. Communication is a challenge for residents during crisis. Make sure there's open communication, that way, you can tell what's going on and what's the best next move to do is. We're going to talk about something that's very important as well, and that's security and resident relations. So the sorry, the relation between security and residents. So, for example, clear communication. Make sure you're communicating security policies clearly with the residents or the people going in and out of the building or site or business. Regular meetings, make sure you hold annual safety meetings. That way, you're updating the people who uh, are relevant to know, like residents or people going in and out. As I said before, make sure you're updating them on safety measures, etc. What's going on in the site itself. That way, there's more transparency, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. Transparency. Build trust by being transparent about incidents. It's very important that building trust is a crucial thing to do. Also, that also helps with reporting culture. Make sure you're encouraging residents to report issues quickly. That way, you know what's going on. You can take the necessary measures to combat them and make sure everybody's safe and secure. What are security policy essentials? So these are like essential policy you should have in every security policy you have. Incident management, incident reporting forms and procedures. Make sure there's an incident report form. That way, if anything happens, they can be as detailed as you want them to be and as relevant as you want them to be as well. Technology usage. So how cameras and access controls are used, obviously. Response protocol, who responds and how. So you can't just have uh, everybody respond, right? You have to be specific to a team or to a person. That way, they know how to handle it. Because if it's somebody that isn't experienced or isn't qualified to handle that, it's going to make the situation way worse. Responsibilities, again, roles and responsibilities of security personnel. Make sure there's clear roles and clear responsibilities for security personnel, obviously to avoid further problems and bad stuff. So I've talked a lot about patrols, and now I'm going to give you patrol options. So first option is foot patrol. So there's the pros and cons to like every patrol option. So foot patrols, they can cover areas the same vehicle patrols do, but foot patrols can also have has its they have their pros. For example, a foot patrol, a guard can or a person can make sure the door is locked by pulling on it and make sure they can view stuff clearer and better than a vehicle patrol because a vehicle is far away and it doesn't have the same visibility a foot patrol does. But with foot patrols, whether marked or unmarked, they can cover multiple sites faster and they can go around the site faster, so they can respond to emergencies faster too, and they can save money. So if you have like 3 4 buildings and you don't want to have a security for each one of them, you just have one vehicle that goes around patrolling that. It can cover faster ground than foot patrols, obviously. You can also use a combination approach. So for like larger properties, you can have foot patrols and vehicle patrols. You don't have to have one. And predictable timing. So make sure there's a randomized timing for unpredictability. For example, if somebody is up to no good and they're watching the site, if they see a security guard patrolling at a certain time every day, they're gonna take advantage of that and try to steal or try to vandalize or whatever at a different time. So if the security is randomizing the patrol and changing the pattern every day, it's going to be very hard to predict for the criminals. Let's talk about concierge security. So, concierge security plays a dual role. So, it's hospitality and safety. It's good customer service. It helps the people in the building and takes care of their concerns. And at the same time, it makes them feel safe and secure by doing security by taking security measures, doing patrols, etc. Access management. They can help with access control and resident assistance. Package handling too. They can receive delivery packages for the residents and make sure that is sorted out. And visitor services. So they can help with verification, visitor verification, and contractor escorting, like I talked about it in a couple of slides ago. So this is a case study that happened in Calgary. It's actually one of our clients. So they were able to reduce vandalism and loitering by 90% in 6 months. And how did they do that? They did that by lighting, upgrading lighting, just like I talked about, patrols, making sure there's a patrol presence, and education, educating the residents about security measures and security protocols. So pretty much everything I talked about today. This is a real case study. So next slide is fire and life safety support. The name gives it away. Alarm monitoring, fire alarms checks during outages. So during outages, make sure you're checking the fire alarms because they can go out of service, which is a big hazard. Evacuation support too. Make sure there's supporting drills and evacuation procedures in place. Emergency coordination. Make sure you're assisting emergency services on site. Make sure you have somebody that's ready and trained to do that at a case of an emergency. Also, access management. Make sure there's clear access routes to emergency people or people that are supposed to respond. So, working with contractors. I'm going to emphasize more on this point. So I explained before, working with contractors, I'm going to go more into details. So I have sign in and sign out logs, whether you want to use a software for that or just go old school and use a sheet, a document. Make sure the contractor, when they sign in, they put their name, they put the company they're with, they put what time they got on site, and then when they want to check out, they also do the same thing, or sorry, they just put the time they left and they sign it that way. You can assure what time they came in and came out, and make sure this is all being stored in a secure and safe place. Escorting through secure areas. You can and you cannot implement that. It's again based on preference. But if you have the area, you can like escort them through a specified secure area instead of just having them randomly roaming around the building or site. Also protecting resident privacy during work. So if the contractor is doing some work, make sure the privacy and the resident's privacy is being protected while during their work time, the contractor's work time. Also, ensuring areas are locked after completion. So, for example, if the contractor is working inside a garage or inside a place that has a door, make sure when they leave it's locked and secured. Also, I want to also emphasize on the privacy and compliance. I want to go more into details. So obviously follow Canadian privacy laws unless you're located in an area in a country that's not in Canada, then you can follow the privacy laws for the country you reside in. Limit camera access to authorized personnel. So again, I've talked about these points, but I just want to emphasize more on them because they're very crucial. Poor signage for post signage for transparency. So if there's a camera or there's a guards on site, you post signage which can help deter crime and have the transparency with the residents and the people that are on site or in the building accessing it. Retain footage only as long as necessary. So I don't know exactly based on the site and based on what you think is best, but make sure like there's a deadline. Like let's say you retain the footage for 2 years, 3 years max, and then you delete them after because they won't be relevant. Again, I said 1 or 2 years, but it's up to you and based on the policies you would think that are best fit for your site. Building a security culture. So again, I've talked about this, but I just want to emphasize more and more and go more into detail. So creating a strong security culture within your condominium community or just the community that you reside in is essential for long-term safety. So that way, everyone plays a role. Security is is a shared responsibility that requires participation from all community members. It also encourage resident vigilance without fear. Create an environment where residents feel comfortable reporting suspicious activity without fear. That like just make sure it's secure, it's anonymous if you want to. That way, they're not scared to report anything. Recognize contributions for safety, so reward that when they do that. Acknowledge residents who actively participate in maintaining community security. Last but not least, make security part of community life. So integrate security awareness into regular community activities and communications. That is crucial. That way they're up to date. They always remember to take the necessary measures to combat security issues. I'm going to touch base on a very important topic, and that is balancing safety and budget. So, how you can implement effective security measures, it doesn't always have to require substantial financial investment. You can consider these cost effective approaches. So, cost sharing between properties or boards. So, you can partner with neighboring properties to split security expenses for mutual benefit. So, you can have, for example, as I said, like one patrol car that, sorry, let me just move my camera. I don't know why it's in the middle of the screen. There you go. Not yet. So you can share that budget with other neighboring communities. You can have one car that patrols both, and you share the costs equally. That way, you save money and you have a patrol going around your property or building. Um, Targeted patrol instead of full-time coverage. So focus security presence during high-risk times rather than 24/7. So you can have a security patrol that comes and just checks in like once, twice, three times, four times, five times a night, depending on the site and the security issues that are happening there, or like during high peak hours, like for 2 3 hours. Like let's say you can have a security from night from dark till light till light, and when the sun comes out, because that's when most of the crime happens. Seasonal or specific event covers. So as I said before, like for example in Calgary we have a stampede season, it's super busy. You can have security during that month, and just security levels based on seasonal needs or during special events. Leveraging technology for savings. So utilize modern security technologies to reduce long-term personal costs. I've talked about ways to do that in the slides before. How can boards act today? And what I mean by boards are like decision makers, people who can decide. So first, you want to do a quick visual security audit. Walk through your property and identify obvious security vulnerabilities that need immediate attention. So what I do every time we get a new client or every time I want to do an audit, I just walk the site like an intruder would, and I try to look for blind spots, for like missing like areas where people can take advantage of, hotspots, etc. And I take measures to I do the necessary measures to combat these issues and fix them. Talk to residents about concerns. Gather feedback from community members about their specific security worries and priorities. That's also very important. Uh, Third step is identify top three priorities. So focus on the most critical security issues that will have the greatest impact on community safety. You can start with three. That way you solve them one by one and you keep going instead of just focusing at everything at the same time. That's more effective to do that. Start with high impact, low cost measures. So implement solutions that provide significant security improvement without major budget implications. So start small, as I talked about in the slides before. I gave you the measures and low cost and high effective measures. You can take a screenshot. Oh, sorry, my camera is. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. So yeah, you can screenshot or just save this the time on the video so you can come back to it, because this is a security audit checklist you want to go through. So you can use this comprehensive checklist to evaluate your property's current security status. First, lighting check in all common areas. Verify all fixtures are functioning. Identify dark spots requiring additional lighting. Check timer settings for exterior lights. So this audit you're gonna go through when you walk your site like an intruder would, or just walk it. Look for these and checklist so you can make sure you're taking the necessary steps to fix those issues. Access control, access control system review. Test all entry points, audit access credentials, and verify emergency override functions. Very important. Third thing is camera coverage and functionality. Confirm that all cameras are operational and well. Review positioning for optimal coverage. See if you can do any better adjustments. Also, test recording quality and storage. Test the mic, test the quality. That way, if you want to identify a face or if you want to listen to what's happening, make sure that's all good and clear. Signage condition. If you have signs a sign that says this area is being supervised or under surveillance. Check the visibility of the security notices. Check this the sign is in good condition and it's placed in a good spot. Ensure privacy disclosures are posted as well. And last but not least, verify emergency contact information. So if you have a security team on site, make sure their number is up there for an emergency situation, or if you just have someone that is that's going to respond to that, make sure it's visible and verify that the number is working and everything is set in spot in place. So if you have a security provider, make sure you're collaborating with them. So share incident history with providers. So if you get a new security provider, make sure you're sharing like what your concerns are, what happened before, how did it happen. That way they can have that documented and they can look out for that. Provide detailed information about past security issues to help tailor services to your specific needs. Set clear goals for coverage. So establish specific objectives and expectations for your security services to ensure alignment. Third thing is adjust scope as needs change. So again, I've talked about this a lot. Just want to emphasize more on it. So periodically reassess and modify security services to address evolving community requirements. So again, it's not a one thing, one size fits all. Every site is different. So make sure your security provider is very aware of that and they tailor their services to your site. Review reports regularly. So maintain ongoing communication about incidents and observations to track effectiveness. So make sure you ask them how they're taking, what measures they're taking, and reviewing the reports. That way, they know you're watching, and again, you also know what's going on with the site. I love transparency. I'm very transparent with all of my clients. I try to provide. I don't try. I do. I provide them with everything that's going on their site, whether it's every 2 weeks or every month, depending on the site. Effective partnership with your security provider ensures that services remain aligned with your community's changing needs and priorities. Yeah. Here are some key takeaways from today's presentation. I'm sorry, this my camera is covering a bit of the screen, but I'll just read it out. First, security is a long-term investment in property value. Comprehensive security measures enhance resident satisfaction and maintain property value over time. Prevention is cheaper than reaction. Let me move my camera so it can be seen clearly. Go. Just put it here. Yeah, prevention is cheaper than reaction. Proactive security measures cost significantly less than addressing damages after the incident occurs. So obviously, if God forbid an incident occurs at site, you're gonna get dragged into legal stuff. You're gonna God forbid, somebody's injured, theft, vandalism, property value is gonna go down. So it's very expensive to deal with that stuff after the incident happens. So we try our best to prevent that from happening. That's everything we do in the security industry. Prevention is key. Collaboration between board, residents, and security is also key. Effective security requires coordination and communication among all stakeholders in the community. Uh, like as the saying goes, one person can't build a community themselves, but with the help of everybody, multiple hands, everybody's contributing to something very way more very effective and again, it's going to keep your site and your business safe and sound and secure. So, what are the next steps for the boards? Schedule a professional security assessment. Engage security experts to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your property's vulnerabilities and strengths. Engage residents in discussions. Host community meetings to gather input and build a consensus around security priorities and approaches. Review budget for possible upgrades. Evaluate current financial resources and identify potential funding for critical security improvements. Build a 12-month security improvement plan. Develop a structured timeline for implementing security enhancement in phases based on priority and resources. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be a part of this and to watch this. And I hope this was very helpful to you. And I hope this is going to help you secure your site and business more. These are my contact info, my email right there, Neil at guardtower.ca. Our phone number is right there too. And our website is guardtower.ca. Your safety is our top priority. please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And if you also want me to send you a copy of this document, feel free to reach out. I'll happily do that. I'm actually also doing free security assessments in Calgary. So if you have a site and you want a professional security assessment by somebody experienced and a security company, please feel free to reach out to my email or call the phone number and just let me know. I'll try to get out there and I'll do a free quick security assessment and send you everything I find. Again, this was your host, Naal Malab, CEO of Guard Tower Security, and I'll see you in the next episode.